The top 10 most influential signings West Ham United have made in the last 10 years. That was a topic suggested by CD Bradley 10. Well, thank you very much for your suggestion. What we're going to be doing over the next few days across both channels is taking on the topic suggested by you and discussing it. And CD Bradley said, "Oi, top 10 signings in the last 10 years." And I think the key word here, Gonzo, is influential. Not the best value, influential. So we've had a little bit of a think. You've got a list, I've got a list, and we're going to battle it out in between us. We're going to have to agree our top 10. I want you guys to get involved at home. So get involved in the comments, give us your top 10. So we're going back to the summer of 2014 onwards. So back then, we signed the likes of Enner Valencia. So there's a lot of players to take into consideration for this one. How do you want to start this video? I think there's a few obvious ones. We might not know the order of them, but would it be safe to say that Jarrod Bowen, Thomas Souček, Dimitri Payet, and Michail Antonio are all in your top 10?
Let's absolutely put those, because I've got more than 10 on this list.
I've got 18.
Have you? Okay. All right. Right. So we're going to do Payet, which is absolutely right. We're going to do Antonio. We're going to do Bowen. We're going to do Souček as well.
They're nailed on in the 10. The order we'll argue later on. Let's get our 10, then we'll do the order. Is there anyone else you would like to put forward as a must for the top 10?
I would, and it may be controversial. Mr. Bradley, absolutely banging question here, by the way. This is good.
It's a thinker, and it's a bit of fun.
Yeah. So thanks for sending it in, mate. Jesse Lingard.
Yep, I tell you what I've done, right? I've got 18 players. I went down, just wrote down all my short list, and I've highlighted 4 musts. We've done them. I've highlighted 4 that I would absolutely have in there. Jesse Lingard's on that 4.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I'll say it. I'll continue to say it. The best point in Jesse Lingard's career was his time at West Ham. He will argue there was probably a little purple patch for him at Man U. There was a bit where he was at Man U and he got into the England team. That was as good as it got. For 6 months, however long it was, from January onwards at West Ham, he was one of the best players in Europe. We were saying that this guy was unstoppable. This guy, we were talking about him in the same sort of language as we were discussing Payet in terms of his impact. Maybe not his skill, but his impact. This is something I'm quite happy to tell you what David Moyes got wrong, and which makes it only fair to say when David Moyes got something right. This was absolutely right. He made the call. He couldn't find the striker that he wanted, and we know that was quite a regular thing for Moisey. But he decided, I'm going to go without one. I'm going to bring Lingard in instead, because I think he will be able to supply the goals that a striker. Now, let's be fair. Had it not been Lingard, and had we gone and signed a striker on loan, and he'd have got however many it was, 8 goals and 7 assists. I can't even remember. Whatever, it was something silly, right? I'm sure you.
I think it might have been. Was it? I want to say 11 goal contributions in 16 games or something like that. That's in my head anyway.
Something like that. A striker wouldn't have done that. So what he wanted to do happened. And I just think it was just a rip-roaring success. You've almost got to forget about the regret and everything that happened thereafter. That's a different conversation, and probably done a good 20 videos on that, to be fair. But influential signing,
the thing with the Jesse Lingard one when I was doing this was 1 or 2 players. I'll say it, like Kudus. I thought he's not been here long enough. Then I thought, hang on a minute. You don't need to be here long enough, because Lingard was here 6 months, and he's one of the first names on that team, on that list for me. Another one that I think needs to go in the top 10, Gonzo, is Lucas Fabianski.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got Fabianski there. Quite
right. So there we go. That's 6 in. Your next one that you think must go in before we get to the let's debate part?
I think you've got to put Paqueta in there.
He's in my let's debate list.
Okay. Oh, okay. I mean, let me chuck a few names at you, Geo, if I may. I don't know what you've written down.
Yeah.
And I'll give you. I can justify each one to a level.
Yeah.
I could talk to you about Arnautovic. I could talk to you about Diafra Sakho.
They're both on my debate list.
I think Soufal has been
on my debate list,
an influential player. But I also think Zabaleta was a good signing at the right time. for West Ham. We can talk about and now to Lanzini. How good was Ogbonna, for instance? I'm chucking loads of names at you now. You could talk about Aaron Cresswell, but you could also say about somebody at the point where we were struggling. João Mario was a very, very important player for us coming in. Does he make the top 10 most influential over this time? No, he doesn't. But he had some influence. So there's interesting things to debate here. I think the motion I would like to put forward next, then, if I may, Angelo Ogbonna.
Yeah, he's one of the names. You pretty much named everybody on my list except 3 players. There's 3 I've got that you've not mentioned. However, Ogbonna's somebody that I would put in my top 10. I know impact and I know longevity isn't really something you should discuss when it comes to influential, but I think there is an element of it. I think it can be 2 things really, can't it? Influential can be impact, which is a Jesse Lingard, short and sharp, but wow. And then I think you can have the longevity aspect of it too. And I think Ogbonna is that for me. He's one of the best centre backs I've seen in a West Ham shirt. Incredibly professional, part of a lot of the good times at West Ham over the last decade as well. So yeah, I'm happy with Ogbonna in the top 10, Gonzo.
Did you one of your 3? One of your 3 is Alex Song.
Yeah, you knew that because
I did. That's why I didn't say it. It's actually I don't want to bring up. It's actually he's second on my list there. So yeah, I knew you were gonna. That's why I didn't read him out.
I'm willing to not have Song in the top 10 though, but I think the thing is though the first signing of Alex Song was incredible, and the second signing of Alex Song was crap because we've had him on loan twice, didn't we? But I think he's just one of my favourite players I've seen in the West Ham shirt. In the way he played football, I think was
beautiful,
was fantastic. He just oozed quality in midfield, but he's someone that I had on my debate list, but he's not someone I feel strongly enough about to argue about putting him into the top 10. So I'm going to say leave him out, actually, even though I'm a big fan of Song.
Well, we got 7 already, you see.
Yes, I think I've got one more. I had 8 players highlighted, and you mentioned one of them, and the other one was Aaron Cresswell. And I think because he's been here so long, I think you can forget how good he was.
Yeah.
Like when he first joined, he was in the England squad. He was one of the best left backs in the Premier League, one of the best set piece takers in the Premier League at the time as well. You know, you got a free kick from 25 yards. You had Dimitri Payet, but I'll tell you what, you also had Aaron Cresswell there as well. And I think he sorted out that left back position for years. He's gone on to become, sort of vice captain, if you like, at West Ham as well. In terms of influence at West Ham, I wouldn't be surprised if he is now the unofficial Mr. West Ham in the changing room as well. There's a reason that he wanted out and Moyes didn't want him to go. Moyes wanted to keep him at West Ham, even though he wanted to go for football reasons. There's a reason that when he found out that Moyes was going and Lopetegui come in, he decided to give us one more year. Lopetegui decided this guy was important to keep around, even though he's not going to play. And I think he's, as much as I wasn't keen on him getting extra minutes against Ipswich, I would rather it went to Ings or Irving. I think there's a reason it went to Cresswell, and that is because Lopetegui looks at him and thinks, I need to keep this guy sweet. This guy is important. And I think, Noble used to rely on him quite a lot as his sort of right-hand man in the changing room as well. And I think Cresswell has to be in the top 10 for me. He's been here a decade now. And I think at one point he was one of the best in his position in the league. And you always see these things. Oh, if you could pick a player that never got injured, who would it be? And Dean Ashton's always my answer. I'll tell you what, there's a few others as well. And Andy Carroll's an obvious one. Manuel Lanzini's a good one. But you know what? Aaron Cresswell's a bloody good shout too. Could you imagine he didn't get injured? You don't know where he could have went to. So Gonzo, I would really like to see, and it's not because I'm the fat version of him, but I would really like to see Aaron Cresswell in our top 10.
You think he's been handed the broom and the dustpan and brush, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's. I've got I'm red inking some of these. This is how.
Yeah. The thing is, so Ogbonna's like the nice uncle of the club, was Uncle Ogbonna and all that, right?
Okay.
But remember, we won the Conference League. Emerson was the best player on the pitch. Cresswell ran straight to Emerson. This is the guy that kept him out of the team, and he's ran straight over to him to celebrate with him and say, "Nice one." And that takes That takes a lot, I think, as a human and as a footballer to want the guy in your position to do really well. And I think
I'd be poisoning his tea, quite frankly.
I wouldn't be happy with him either. I'd be playing right wing in training to make sure I could stick one in on him.
Yeah.
But Creswell in the top 10, please, Gonzo. And that gives us 8.
Yeah.
The 2 players that you never mentioned that was on my list. One was Pablo Finales.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
And the other one was Kurt Zuma.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why. No, Zuma's on here. Yeah, Zuma is. He's just above Lingard.
Have you got anyone else on the list that we've not mentioned?
Zuma has to go in.
Does he?
Yeah. Zuma has to go in. Yeah, you have to forget about the injury, the knees. Forget about the last year. Forget about the packs of ice. He's basically got Antarctica wrapped around his leg, hasn't he? Right, basically. Forget about all of that. What you got to remember, because a big thing here is what I'm looking at here. So, if for instance, if we were going to discuss Arnautovic, you've got to discuss him being moved to centre forward and then us evading relegation, right? So there's relegations battles to take into account in terms of influence, but we must talk about the trophy. And I think he was a massively influential part. So, I mean, I've heard people make the case that Zuma was a waste of money. And I think what they mean is he was bad value by the time we went to sell him. I don't think he was a waste of money. I actually think, sometimes, you spend money. We basically bought a top class defender for 3 seasons. Okay, it's pretty damn pricey. But I think he was a big part of things. I think he really, really helped shore up the defense. And I think he was a vital part, actually. And I know the cat and all the business. And but again, it's not really. I don't like it. I love animals. I absolutely do. But
it doesn't make him a bad signing.
Does it detract from how he performed on the pitch for West Ham? No, it doesn't. You can, but both things can be true. You can admire how good he was at the pitch, on the pitch, and be absolutely appalled that he kicks an animal. That both things can be true. And certainly the one doesn't really influence the other there. So I actually do think that I would put Zuma in there.
Okay, let's put him in the list for now. And the reason I say for now is because we are now going to have to. That gives us 9. And we now have to go through the rest of the maybes and decide one. And it might come to a point where you think, actually, this other guy's got to go as well. So, Marko Arnautovic, is you happy to leave him out? Or could he be the 10th?
He could be the 10th. I think it was very influential.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure. The trouble is, I'm not sure I'd put him in ahead of Lanzini, who during that last season, Geo, like Lanzini, that season with Arnautovic there, it was actually they pretty much played 2 up front, and he was just behind Lanzini. And Lanzini was exceptional. Remember David Moyes saying, I'd heard Lanzini was good before I came to West Ham. I'd heard people speak about him. I didn't realise he was that good.
Okay, I'll cross off Marco. So he's out. He was a contender, but he's not making the 10.
Yeah.
Vladimir Coufal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem position for us right back for traditionally over the years, I have to say. Not initially, not in the 80s and stuff like that, but certainly going into the 90s and all that sort of thing. We always struggled with little bits and pieces. Maybe Schemmel came in for a bit and did okay. We signed Lucas Neal, and he but anytime you get one of those, you think, oh, he's solved a problem position. So it has been a problem position. Again, Lucas Neal wasn't around for a million years, was he? So I think Coufal solved a problem position for 3 seasons or whatever the case may be.
He's been an excellent signing. There's no doubt about that, and a huge part of our success over the last few years. But let me put it to you like this, so I can work out to score him off or not. Coufal or Lanzini, which one would you put on the list if you had to pick between them?
Lanzini.
Okay, so Coufal's out then. So at the minute, Lanzini's the leading contender for the 10th man, right? Craig Dawson came in.
Influential.
Very influential. Big part of our European runs.
Oh, man. I forgot all about him.
Yeah, Craig Dawson was big for David Moyes. You know, when he came in and, you know, I thought he was a crap signing. I don't mind admitting this. I thought he was a horrific signing. I thought, why are we signing this guy? I'm not being very impressed by him for Watford or West Brom, but he came in and went in, done really well. I mean, Leon away. Wow, that's got the goal, got the outstanding. Some of there's been quite a few big centre back performances for West Ham over the years. I always look back at Winston Reid at Man City and Craig Dawson's had one or two himself. So Dawson's now a contender, I think.
He is a contender.
So we'll leave him on the maybe list and come back to it. But this is why I think you were maybe a bit quick to say Kurt Zuma's on the 10. I think we might have to have a discussion about taking Zuma out of the 10. But we'll leave Dawson as a maybe. Let me just get my third color of highlighter for Craig Dawson and say maybe. Zabaleta. Now let me lead Zabaleta. I was a big fan, robbed of Hammer of the Year by Mark Konavich, funny enough. But we're talking about being influential. He came in the ultimate professional while he was here. Solid, consistent. He had that winner's mentality. And it was almost like at times, it was almost like he was dragging the rest of the players' mentality up a little bit and saying, this ain't good enough. Like, come on, we've got to be better than this. And because he was here such a short time and quite some time ago now, I think it's easy to forget how good Zabaleta was. I thought he was absolutely fantastic for us. But not only that, he didn't outstay his welcome. The club didn't keep him around for 1 year too long, and he didn't stay around for 1 year too long. It was almost short and sweet, but perfect. It was a fantastic signing by us. He came in, did the job, and left. Superb. I think, is he in my top 10? I'm not sure. He'd certainly be in my top 20. He'd probably be in my top 15. But is he enough to?
He can't get in ahead of Soufal, Paqueta, Lanzini. He just doesn't make.
Well, I'm not talking about that. It's between. If you can't get in ahead of Soufal, then I think we're going to have to say no.
For me, I just don't think it's. Soufal's got a bigger body of work.
I'll agree.
And a trophy, I think,
I agree with that. I would maybe have had him. I think influential signing. I think he was fantastic. Right, Pablo Finals.
No, okay. And I love him. I love him. Icon, cult hero. Love the way he speaks about West Ham. Love it. Love it. I said this years ago. I went to that game with Nick. We went to Oxford and they pulled our pants down. They smacked our bum, and there was booze. There was a lot of booze. And the only player, and he'd only been here 2 minutes. The only player that came over, and I mean came over. They were redoing their ground at the time, Oxford. So it was a bit like a London Stadium in that sense. They had this big gravelly bit between the edge of the pitch and where the fans were. Not only did he came over and he walked over like, sorry, I'm really sorry. Came over, stepped over, didn't just walk to the edge of the pitch and do that. Walked over the gravel, stepped over the advertising hoardings and came and shook some people's hands, took his shirt off, gave it to a kid down the front. And to be fair, you're probably thinking at that point, I've seen it happen. I've seen shirts be thrown back before, right? You're probably... nobody else fancied it. No one else fancied doing that. And I said, do you remember me saying at the time, I think this guy's got a special character, a special personality, and nothing I've ever seen since has dissuaded me from that.
But no.
Okay,
right. No. Lanzini we know is a maybe, right? So that gives us 3 maybes and 2 spaces. Sacco, we're binning off.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was there was some influence there. I mean, he won equaled the Premier League goal scorer run for consecutive games. Last game, Upton Park. I mean, it's good signing. Good. That's what we're talking about. Influential. That's why it's a no to Fornals. I don't think he had a massive influence on the results at the club. Sacco. Yeah, I mean, you can make a case. You can make a case for him. Say that now.
And then Paqueta. So basically, we've got Sacco, Lanzini, Paqueta, Zuma, and Dawson. And we got 2 spaces. Okay, so that's what we're left with. After all this, we've got Zuma, Dawson, Lanzini, Sacco.
Oh man. Okay,
So 5 players, 2 spaces.
Okay, right. Let's get rid of one of them right now. This bloody chair's lost its height, but like me.
Mine's done that as well. The gas has gone in my chair.
Is that what it is? It's gas. Can you get it done? Can you get them regassed?
Yeah, you can get new cylinders. Don't worry.
So I'd say you had to take it to the garage like your car. I just wanted to. And at the right point, I thought, hold on, what's happened to Gonzo? I was twisting like that. People could see all the crap that was on my floor in that room.
In a video in a couple of weeks, our cameras are going to be pointing at me and you on our floor. Got no gas.
Got no gas. West Ham chairs, ladies and gentlemen. Links in the description below. No, they're not. They're not. We're joking. They are what they are. West Ham chairs.
Right. Zuma, Dawson, Lanzini, Sacco, Payet. I think I'm going to remove Sacco.
Okay. Someone needs to make a decision. Lanzini's in.
I think Lanzini's in. Right. So okay. So now we're down to Dawson, Payet, and Zuma. One's in.
Oh, Mr. Bradley, what have you done with this suggestion? You're spoiling us. You've actually given us something to think about. This is videos are normally so easy, aren't they? Normally, you just talk about West Ham and that's done.
I don't think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have. The thing is, I'm maybe getting a bit influential. I'm trying to stick to that because I think if it was value, I'd say get Zuma out of there. But who had the biggest influence at West Ham, Zuma or Dawson? Who had the biggest impact? I think it's on par. I don't think
influence is different.
Well, influences to me is impact, isn't it? And it can be looked at it in a few different ways. Payet, though, set up that goal in Prague.
Exactly. That's really influential. That's really influential.
Maybe he gets a 10th spot then, just for that.
I think he might, but then that's the whole thing about when the attacking players get the glory. I bet there was a tackle that Zuma did or a header that Dawson did that might have made a difference. That's the trouble.
I mean, if you were doing that, you'd say, well, put Emerson in then because he was the man matching that final, but I ain't doing that. Payet, Zuma, or Dawson?
You know what we could do? We could let the punters decide the final one.
Well, the thing is, right, I'm going to say whoever it is 10th on the list because we've got to order them now. Yeah. So let's just say subscribers can choose. Yeah, we've got to put them in order. We've got our 9 and the subscribers can pick the 10th one for us. So I think it's easier said than done because I think Lanzini's probably got to be 9th, given that we found it the other one's easier.
Right.
I think... Would you say, do you know the 4 we did at the start? Bowen, Souček, Payet, and Antonio. Would you say that that's a top 4?
I was going to say again.
Bowen, Souček, Payet, and Antonio. Would you say that that's a top 4? But then maybe there's a case for Lingard and Fabianski in there.
Yeah, look, let's get this influential. I think it goes Bowen, Payet at the top.
That's how I've written it down.
Right, let's do that then. We were in agreement there.
So number 1 is Bowen.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Payet.
Yeah.
I've got Souček as 3.
I think you might be right.
And I've got Michail Antonio as 4. And I've got Fabianski as 5. That's what I've got.
I'm not going to argue with any of that.
Then I think Lingard 6.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah.
Then one of Creswell or Ogbonna.
Almost doesn't matter. They're like the same person. You never see them together. You do. Legends aren't like old bastards. No, old. Long time, long standing.
Right. Well, you pick which one?
Cresswell, then Oggy.
Right. So here's our top 9, and you're deciding our top 10, our 10th one at home. In number 1, we have Jarrod Bowen. Number 2, we have Dimitri Payet. 3rd, we've got Thomas Souček. And 4th, we've got Michail Antonio. In 5th But we've got Lucas Fabianski with Jesse Lingard in 6th, Aaron Creswell in 7th, Jarrod Bowen in 8th, Manuel Lanzini in 9th, and in 10th, you're going to decide for us. It's one of Craig Dawson, Kurt Zuma, or Lucas Paqueta.
Can you do the vote? Can you do the vote on the YouTube thing?
I don't know how.
No, neither do I. Right, basically, there'll either be a vote, or if we can't work out how it's done, then just write the name and then we'll
write the name. We'll count it up and we'll decide who came 10. But also get involved if you've got a completely different list to us. We might be missing someone obvious. Although I did go through every player we've signed since 2014. I don't think I've missed anyone. Get involved in the comments below with your list, the top 10 most influential signings West Ham United have made since the summer of 2014. But a massive thank you to Mr. Bradley for your suggestion. Hope you enjoyed the discussion, something a little bit different for international break. But if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat, myself and Gonzo. We'll catch you in a bit.